we're going to be taking a look at the TFC Toys Exgraver, which I believe is Scavenger, the redo for the quote-unquote not Devastator Hercules that they are doing. Yeah, so it's a modernization, kind of a reimagining in line with classics of Scavenger, and I really like him. He's got a lot of cool stuff going on. Pretty good articulation, just kind of looks pretty cool. A little bit chunky, but I kind of feel like he should be chunky, as he's a Constructicon. And the posability is not really lacking on these guys. For whatever reason, I'm having trouble standing him. But it does hold itself up, and it does do a pretty good job. I think the big problem is that your crane is so darn big, and you can kind of put this wherever you want. There's a bunch of these bigger ports all over the body, such as on the arm. If you wanted him to use it as some kind of weapon, you can. And he's capable of standing, holding it. So he's got some pretty good joints that are able to hold the weight. Now, the way they actually show this guy transformed is to have this kind of down, which is more in line with the original. And then yeah, I guess you can have it in like this. And then what you're actually supposed to do is have this part here, whoops, you're supposed to have this part here open with like the Devastator hand in there and just kind of facing down. I believe it was like this. Just so it's folded up like that and makes a backpack, and then you can fit this in and it hangs down there. But I don't really like how it looks. I think it's silly. And you also have the cab of the alt mode, which you can kind of just plug into his arm to keep out of the way. So I just choose not to display him with this, and since I'm storing that, I take this off too. And that gives you more range of whatever you want to do with the crane. Now, the problem is to get the crane to actually stand up over his head, kind of more like a scorpion. You kind of have to mess with the backpack a little. But that's how I really prefer to keep it displayed, is with this more of the scorpion look, a little off to the side there. And I just think he looks cool like that with the scorpion tail type thing going on. He's got a pretty good range of motion. He's got a full arm swivel. You got an upper arm. You got the elbow. You've got a wrist swivel, and then you've actually got, oh, excuse me, you've actually got the for transformation, the upper shoulder, so you can get him in some good poses there. In terms of the legs, it's on a ball joint, so you're gonna get pretty free range. You got an upper swivel. You got the toes that work together because of the gearing mechanism, if you saw the video yesterday. And then you got a knee, and the knee is probably the weakest part. From the front it doesn't look so bad, but from the side you got that huge gap there. But what can you do when you're working with treads for legs? So he does come with these two guns, and they are a little bit strange because they're two different colors. And I've seen some people online who's actually taken these and painted them black. They look like identical guns. It's hard to tell how they're molded, but I'm pretty sure they're identical. And I was thinking about painting mine black too, but I'm hesitant to do so until I know exactly what's going to happen with those guns, because my understanding is that they are going to be combined into some kind of super weapon. So until I know how everything fits together, they're just going to have to stay like that. Head has pretty good articulation. That's about as far left and right as you're going to go. It's got kind of the Rodimus from Energon ball joint, where it's on a ball joint, but the ball joint extends out on a little, like a peg type thing there. So it does limit how far you can turn to the left and right, but you can look straight up if you really want. You know, so if you have two of him on the shelf, you can have him looking up at Hercules, I suppose. And that's pretty much it for this mode. Yeah, it's pretty good. So the transformation is pretty simple. We'll take everything off just to get everything out of the way. The one problem I do have with transformation mode, or the transformation here, is that how this is supposed to work is you're supposed to take his hands here and you keep it like this, and it's supposed to like cup his head, but it doesn't do that so well. So what I usually do, and I'm doing this out of order of the instructions because I couldn't get it to fit the way they tell you. I put it like this, and then I put the thumb behind his head, and then I take all this and I plug it together, because that's how it's supposed to be, and then just fold his fingers down like that. Now we got that out of the way, we can get onto it. And you do need this part because it's actually part of the alt mode. It forms like the back cover. So take it and then take his arms and fold them on up. You'll see you have the tabs there and the slots corresponding, and you gotta kind of play around with it a little because you need a little bit of space. The way it was designed here, you can see there's like a little bit of material before you actually hit the tab, so you have to actually fit that underneath. So you kind of have to mess with it a little. This hand, just so you can see this, is actually just on like a peg, so you could actually just kind of get everything all in position and then peg the hand on, but it's really hard to make it fit over the Exgraver head the way they tell you to. So just kind of pull it out a little and plug everything all in together. And it's going to take a little bit of fiddling because you got to get this gray piece, the black piece I should say, up in the right spot. Once you get it there, it's in. You can then take the hand and slide it backwards so it fits in snugly, and then just close everything up. So one of these fingers is probably going to stick out just because it's a little bit longer than the rest. Now take his arms here, flip him around like this so the flat side's out, and then flip his fists to also close up this panel. It's a super simple transformation at this point. We can also rotate his waist at this point. And just take this and fold it on in. You'll see that there's the tab here and the slot there, so that tabs together nicely. And the same thing on the other side. Now we get to the legs. The legs, trying to remember how you have to do this. Okay, so the legs, you're going to take and swivel down like this, leaving this strange front piece, and then keep going with it. So you should have it looking kind of like this from the front, that from the side. Close up all his feet treads. Oh, I just out of synced mine. I see why they say you can just kind of jam the gears that I was saying you shouldn't do yesterday. I did not know that would happen like that. So it looks like at the end of the gear you can actually demesh them, and then you can kind of mess with them a little there. Whoops, okay, lost my battery there for a second. Alright, so I actually was wrong. You want to keep it like this though, and then you're going to flip this little panel down. And then what you want to do, you see these gray pieces here, you're going to want to kind of press on them. It's going to pop out these little like pegs. And once you've got that, rotate the tracks so they're like this. And then you can do that final swing down. And then if you did that right, all this stuff should just peg right on in real nicely. Those gray pieces you flipped out will peg into the side of the treads. So there you've pretty much got it done. And then from there you're just kind of, well, I'm going to fix my treads because they're a little bit off here. But then from there you just kind of take your crane attachment and stick that on. Then for the top part, all they want you to do is just peg it into one of the hands. So you do have one of the hands still kind of showing, but on a construction vehicle it doesn't look so bad. You don't see it so much. So you can peg that on there. You can peg it on back here. If you really want, I suppose you could peg it on up here, but it looks kind of strange. But hey, it's your toy, do what you want. So I'm just going to stick with the standard, plug it into his hands, and then you can take his guns and put them in any of the number of pegs. These ones are not peg holes, it won't fit in there. You have just those two, the one there, you could obviously put it in his hand. It looks like you can put it in the back of the Devastator hand. You could if you want. I don't know why you'd want to, but you can. So there you have him in his backhoe, whatever, powered shovel mode. And I think some people are disappointed because this doesn't turn, and I actually like it that way. It's more solid. Yeah, so it doesn't bother me. I just realized I should have done a size comparison for the bot mode. Well, we'll get back to that after. So you can see he's fairly large. Having him ever handy. Here he is next to a little Crossfire Scout. The body of the vehicle, when it's folded, is about the same length. Your width is quite a bit smaller though. So you definitely feel like you're getting what you paid for out of it. It might be a little bit too expensive. I think I would have liked to have seen these guys in like the $70 or $80 range. But hopefully the end result makes it feel that the added price was worthwhile. Now you do have articulation on the shovel. I like the hydraulics they put in. I might actually go and paint my actual hydraulic portions red just to kind of break it up. You do have the upper one, and of course, as I showed you how to fix, you have the lower one, which since it's on the peg can just swivel around. Peg does like to come out on its own though, but yeah, so it's pretty fun. When I first got this guy, I had him sitting in a candy dish scooping out a bowl of candy on my table. Or scooping out a load of candy on the table. So I liked how that looked. I don't know if my wife liked it so much, but I liked it. So, yeah. So I guess we might as well go and do the transformation to the arm mode. And for that, we have to take this fist off. And then we'll take the guns off too. And then what you're gonna do, I'll also take this off for now just to get it out of the way. You can transform it with this on, but I'm just moving it to get it out of the way. What you're gonna do is take this, flip those gray tabs back in, also come up here and flip the combiner port down, which is just an Energon port, but my understanding is it's bigger than a standard Energon port. So then what you're gonna do is take his legs and kind of swivel them on down, and then this should all, oops, if you put it on right, you'll take these tabs and those tabs and interlock them. And I missed a step. You also want to fold these treads on in. Let me pull these apart, because actually what you're going to do is you take the Devastator hand, and you can see you got the like T-fitting here, and what you're going to do with that is plug it into the holes that are formed on the back of the treads, and then you're going to want to fit it all in together, and that gives you the wrist there. And as you can see, we've got a pretty hefty hand. There are some complaints about this because his head is just kind of sitting there, so it doesn't really hide anything too well. But what they actually tell you to do is take this, bend it on in, and bend the shovel on around so it covers it. So it really is going to depend, I guess, on your aesthetic, what you like to see when you put this guy in the arm mode eventually, when it serves its purpose fully. So I personally don't mind it like this, because you still at least get the arm. Some people, I guess, are going to want to see it like this, you know, where you kind of have the, we kind of have the crane just like hanging off the arm and stuff, or something like that. Something like this really is more in line with the original Devastator, as you can see. But the instructions say to do it like this to cover the head. And frankly, I think it looks just fine like that. It still makes it quite clear that this is a powered shovel. Now, I don't know how that's going to affect it once we get the arms, because if you wanted to pose it outwards, it looks like it's going to limit your posability, and certainly could run into his shoulder. But that's to be determined, I suppose. We'll see what happens when time comes. So in the arm mode here, you have some pretty good articulation still. You can attach the guns however you want, two on each side to make like a wrist blaster for him. You could put one on each side. I believe the Heavy Labor, which is the next one, which will be based off of Long Haul, comes with the same guns, so you could plug them in, have 4 guns on the wrist. You could even, if you really want to, take it and plug just one, so he has like a, I don't know what part of your, the top part of your hand cannon. For this, articulation wise, what you end up using is his waist swivel to give it a full rotation there. You're going to have a rotation because of the energon port, and you're going to have the up and down movement of the arm. And then the way they engineered the energon port, or I'm sorry, the waist, is that it also has that rotation, which you saw for transformation, which is going to act as the elbow. Now, he is pretty bulky, so that's about as close to 90 degrees as you're going to be able to get it to go. So you're going to have to rotate him a little like this if you want it to 90 out. So you also have the wrist, and since it's on the swivel, it can go up and down and all over the place. And each one of these fingers is on its own, well, not on a ball joint. The thumb's on a ball joint to give you a range of motion. And you have the very tip is posable of it. Now all of these, I was a little disappointed to see that it's basically just a pin that goes through all the fingers here. And so they, well, you can move them individually, but the problem is that it's always going to be like that. You can't get them in a pose that's open. But each of the fingers has 2 points of articulation. You got the lower swivel, and then you got the upper one. So chances are he's going to be holding something pretty well. Not seeable by this. And I'm dropping stuff. Actually, now that I think about it, maybe it is seeable by this. If you look here at his fingers, he's actually got peg holes in there. So you could peg in a gun like this, which means he's going to hold whatever he's got extraordinarily well. So in this case, just messing around, I'm going to make him hold this purple gun. And what you may not notice about the purple gun yet is that it's also got a peg hole. So it's kind of a stupid little gun, but it's kind of like showing you the idea of how it's probably going to, you know, how things are going to combine and stuff, and how he's going to hold his gun. So, whoops, took that ball joint right out, and it is just a ball joint, so it pops in and out super easy. So I didn't forget to do a size comparison here, because I'm going to show you the fully extended arm, as you can see. In fact, let's put it down and we'll move the camera down. So here is the fully extended arm. Might as well, we'll do closed fist. So, fully extended, closed fist. And then here is the Vortex from Fans Project, which I kind of like these hands better now that I think about it, because these are such a struggle to work with. But here's Vortex, which is the Bruticus hand, just to give you a size comparison difference. Now, you may be saying, well, you know, it's not a big difference between the front of Vortex and the back of Exgraver. But the real key point to look at is where the energon ports are going to be. So that's going to give you a better idea of the scale. And you can see that if you line them up, you've got, I'd say like probably about a ½ inch, like 3, maybe, yeah, like 2 to 3 centimeters, I'd say, something like that. Yeah, so that gives you an idea of how big he's going to be. I don't think he's going to be, you know, necessarily like pushing 20 inches. I think we're reasonably looking at like probably around 14, I would say. But yeah, that gives you just an idea. And the hands are just massive compared to the Bruticus one. So I really like that. I think it's going to be cool. The size is almost the same size. Actually, if you count to the top of the crane arm, it is taller than G1 Devastator. If you count from where his fist is to his energon port, you're looking about his chest. So, just to give some ideas. So let's put him back into his bot mode real quick, just so I can compare him with another Voyager, as he's rated as a small Voyager. And for a size comparison, a friend of mine asked if I would just do it next to the Motormaster from Animated, just so you can see. And you can see that the actual bot has a bit of height on him. So there's definitely a height difference between the two of them, but what can you do? So here is a repainted Pterodive, actually as Slipstream, and you can see she's a deluxe, and that's how she compares to him. Pterodive is a bit taller than the normal deluxe, so he is a tad bit taller than her, but definitely a lot more big and bulky. And a more common deluxe that most people tend to dislike, there's Perceptor. So you can see that he's a bit shorter than him. So he's kind of in between a Voyager and a deluxe. But the size is pretty good. And it's going to be hard for some people to justify the $100 that he costs. I certainly wasn't sure if I was going to be able to or not. And I think I can do it. I've got the funds kind of set aside for it. So I jumped on him. And I'm happy with it. I like the purchase. I do think it would have been better in the $70 to $80 range, but TFC doesn't put out stuff like Fans Project's been putting out, so their cost of production is probably going to be higher. So, alright guys, I've rambled on long enough. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time. Oh, also, thank you everyone who subscribed to me at this point. I just broke 300 subscribers, so I didn't think that that would happen. You know, certainly not this quick either. I just kind of started on YouTube just for the fun of it and to see how it went, and now 300 subscribers later, thank you everyone who's commented, subscribed, enjoyed my videos. It's been fun making them too. I did just start a Twitter. I don't know how much I'm going to use it, but if you want to subscribe to follow me, it's T2RX6. So, alright guys, I'll see you later.